I'm Roy Lee Lindsay with the North Carolina Pork Council, and I want everyone to remember, bacon makes everything better.
Hey folks, David Glenn here from the North Carolina Sports Network with Michael O'Connell, the point guard at NC State. We can call him an ACC champion, of course. He was the starting point guard on the team that went all the way to the Final Four as well. He also, in the first year of our company, was the winner of an award we called the Moment of the Year. And Michael, just so you know, this could have been an NFL moment across the state of North Carolina, could have been NBA, could have been NASCAR, could have been any college sport. But your shot against Virginia, of course, at the ACC tournament, won a vote of our statewide viewers and listeners as the sports moment of the year. So you're the only person I get to say, congratulations, the North Carolina Sports Network. We don't have a trophy for you,
that's all right.
But I'm glad we get to interview you now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honored. I'm honored to be here, so thank you very much.
How often have you been asked about that shot since then, and are you tired of questions about it?
It's pretty often I get asked if I'm ever shopping or walking around, people bring it up, and I'm not tired of it just yet. It's a moment I love, so I can't complain about it.
How would you estimate the number of times you have seen that shot on video since it happened roughly 6 months ago? 7 months.
I would say a lot, probably in the hundreds. I would say I've seen it. It's just something that pops up every once in a while too, where I just go back and watch. So it's a great moment. I'm blessed to experience. So I definitely watch it every once in a while.
It's harder to have a video like on a cycle at all times. Have you found like a favorite photo of the moment that people can forget? It pushed the game to overtime. I wonder how many of the people who mentioned it to you think that the shot won the game. Is that like a 25%?
I've had a decent amount of people come up to me or telling someone else like, oh yeah, he's the guy who hit the game winner against Virginia. And I let it rock. I'm not gonna.
Why bother?
Yeah, exactly. But I would say I've seen some cool photos. My team photographer Pat, I give him a shout out. He has a great photo of like a perfect angle of me shooting right next to Isaac. So that's probably one of my favorite photos of it.
The shot is famous enough without what I'm about to tell you, but I had been to Italy last year and I bought a certain shirt that's very colorful. There's a certain island I visited and it's famous for multicolored houses, and I bought this shirt. So I'm on Media Row. I've covered the ACC for longer than you've been alive, and I'm wearing this shirt from Italy, and you hit your shot. And Media Row is behind you, the way the TV camera was shooting. And my phone blows up saying, DG, was that you behind Michael O'Connell as he hit the shot? That's your fame reaches internationally, including people I was in Italy with. Is that next level?
That's pretty cool. I never thought about it like that, but yeah, that is pretty next level for sure.
I'm just an innocent bystander. Michael O'Connell is joining us on the David Glenn Show. They call him OC. I saw you playing 2K with Jayden Taylor.
Yeah.
Who won?
The game got cut short because we had to do some other things, but he was winning, when we were playing, but it was only by 2. But I'll give him it. He won. But,
all right, it's not. He said it was. He even went to bat for you. He said it was less than a full game, less than a half, maybe.
Yep.
He's going to bat for his point guard. He said other players have to be nice to the point guard the way a quarterback has to be nice to the offensive line. Do you find that they take care of you that way?
Well, yeah. Sometimes I'll joke with them where if they're messing with me, I'm like, it's all right. I just won't pass you the ball. So we go back and forth and just mess around. But no, they don't really gotta be nice. I'll still pass them the ball.
You seem like a real level-headed guy. Were you able to, in the moment? Some people forget Isaac McNeely is like one of the best shooters in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Definitely.
He's on the free throw line. Whatever his percentage is really high, 80 to 90 in that range. So if he makes everything, your season is over. What do you recall being on your mind coming out of that huddle as McNeely is trying to end your season?
Yeah, the biggest thing was just I remember especially being on the free throw line talking to Casey. He's like, we just got to get the ball out and go. That was the biggest thing. I wasn't really thinking the game was going to be over right then and there. It was we still have an opportunity and just get the ball out and go. That was all I kept saying we kept saying to each other.
Do you have a clock in your head knowing that when you got near that three-point line, did you know, like, you, no matter what, even if it was an off balance, you didn't call bank shot, I assume. Did you know that it was now or never in that second?
Yeah, well, I remember obviously when we were on the fifth down, looking up at the clock, seeing limited time, and the biggest thing is, like I said, get the ball up the court. And either I got to find someone, or it's going to be me taking the shot if I have the ball. And I knew there was limited time, and just had to get one up.
When you're asked whether it's right now or when you're an old man, how do you explain a team that was 17 wins and 14 losses in early March, heading to D.C. with basically a mediocre record, and then you win 9 straight games, including the ACC title, to get to the Final Four in what is one of the most amazing March Madness runs in the history of the sport? How can you, a very smart guy, make sense of all that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and we kind of talk about it a decent amount, is just staying consistent. I think that was our biggest thing. Is obviously things are not always going to go the way you want in the moment. That's just, it's part of the sport. It's why you play the game every day. But the fact that we were able to stay consistent was the reason we were able to get that, because guys didn't hang their head too much going into the tournament. We know we had to win every game to win it all. And the biggest thing for us is we're going to stay consistent with our approach, how we prep, how we scout, and just take one game at a time.
Quarterbacks always say wide receivers come back to the huddle telling them they were open. You, as the Wolfpack starting point guard, Marcus Hill scored a ton of points at Bowling Green. Mike James, double-digit scorer at Louisville. Dontrez Styles, double-digit scorer at Georgetown. The big fella, Brandon Huntley Hatfield, double-digit scorer at Louisville. And plus your returning teammates. Jayden Taylor was just here, double-digit scorer. How do you, A, keep everybody happy, and B, make sure, as one of the leaders on the team, that people kind of subvert the desire to score as many points as they maybe did last year when there's just more dudes and there's only one basketball?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest thing going around the country for a lot of teams, especially with the transfer portal. And I think the biggest thing is just helping guys figure out what their role is going to be. Everyone's role is never going to be the same. Either, my role might be different than it was last year coming into this year. So every guy's got to realize that roles may change for the benefit of the team, and if that means less shots or less playing time, so be it, because at the end of the day, we're trying to win a championship as a team.
Given your rivalry with that team in a very light shade of blue, just a little bit down the road on I-40 there, do you harass Dontrez Styles for starting his college career there?
We mess with him every once in a while, but no, we don't get on him too much about it. It's it's a historic program, great program, so you're not going to get on a guy too much about trying to do what's best for him. But we make jokes here and there.
When you travel around the ACC as a road player, what percentage of the harassment you get stays on the right side of the line, and then what percentage is kind of over the line? How do you react to that?
I would say most of the harassment comes from off the court, outside the court. I would say the fans are the fans are they get after it. They love their teams, they love supporting their teams. So whether it's just us, our bus going through town, or us walking into practice, you hear the fans. They're chirping and yelling at you and stuff like that. And then on the court, it's not too much of anything crazy. It's just more just in competitive spirits.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to win. That at the end of the day. So I would say it's more of the fan bases, but that's part of it. I love it, and I love the fact that all the fans get into it like that.
His name is Michael O'Connell. You can call him OC. Sorry we don't have a trophy for you, but congratulations on your Moment of the Year honor.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
In sports, we talk a lot about impact players who make a positive difference. When it comes to our state's economy, the North Carolina pork industry is a true MVP. Each year, the pork industry plays an important role in supporting rural communities across our state. It contributes more than $10 billion a year to the North Carolina economy and supports more than 44,000 jobs. Learn more about their positive impact at ncpork.org. The North Carolina Pork Council, the foundational partner of the North Carolina Sports Network.
This segment brought to you by our great friends at Atlantic Tire and Service, where DG and his family take all of their vehicles for routine maintenance, service needs, and a world-class selection of new tires. Atlantic Tire and Service, your one-stop tire and auto repair provider with highly trained technicians and a sales and support staff that are second to none. They've grown to 6 Triangle area locations, 2 in Raleigh, 2 in Cary, 1 in Durham, and 1 in Wake Forest. You can learn more online at AtlanticTireOnline.com.
Back here at the ACC's Tip-Off event in Charlotte, our next guest was raised in one of the greatest basketball states in the entire country, Indiana. We have gotten to enjoy him in another of the greatest basketball states, North Carolina. He's formerly of Butler. He arrived about a year ago is when we met him as a member of the NC State Wolfpack, and of course he's all decked out right now. Jayden Taylor, welcome to the David Glenn Show. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. Not many people got to experience personally two of the greatest basketball states in the entire country. Are you going to be the referee and tell us which is the greatest basketball state, or are you going to have to make it a tie?
Nah. I'm going to have to go with Indiana, man. It's just different in Indiana. I try to tell my teammates all the time, it's just a little different. You have to go to see, though. That's all.
Was growing up in Indiana one of the reasons that you think you fell in love with basketball way back when?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Indiana basketball, you can go to a high school basketball game and just see, how big the gym is, how the energy is. It's just what we do in Indiana, honestly. It's just everybody in Indiana plays basketball. We love it, and it's competitive. So that's just how I started. Yes, sir.
One of the most famous sports movies of all time is Hoosiers.
Yes, sir.
Now, it's probably more famous in my generation. Give me a sense to the guys in your generation, especially growing up in Indiana.
Yeah.
When do you recall watching it, and how do you reflect on that movie, whatever you might like, dislike, or otherwise?
Yeah. I mean, Hoosiers is a movie that, in Indiana, if you play basketball, you've seen Hoosiers. That's a movie they show in school sometimes on, Fridays. But my memory from the movie is actually I played in that gym. Being an Indiana All-Star, we got a chance to go over there and play in that gym. So I say that's my biggest, memory from just, the movie Hoosiers.
You know I'm going to ask you about your amazing run to the ACC title in the Final Four. But before we even get to that, there was a play earlier in the year where you're falling on your back out of bounds. You save the ball, and not only do you keep it in play, you find, I think it was OC for a three-pointer. You end up not only on the SportsCenter ESPN top 10 list of the day, but I think you ended up number one, right? What do you remember about that play? And then tell me, how does your phone blow up, or people that might not have seen you in a while, did they contact you? Because ESPN SportsCenter top 10 is a pretty big deal.
I mean, it was crazy. Honestly, when it first happened, I didn't think it was that crazy. I was just playing basketball. But then I'm watching it how did I stay in bounds and catch it? So, my phone was blowing up. My mom was like, hey, you're on SportsCenter top 10. I'm like, wow, that's a surreal thing. As a kid growing up, you watch those every morning before school. And just being number one on it, it was amazing.
Now, I got to ask you, given how last season ended so well, when you arrived, let's say, this time last year, we were having media days. You weren't here, but could you have possibly imagined, how big are your dreams? Was the reality even bigger than your dream?
I'm going to be honest. Yes. What happened is something you only can dream of, to be honest. 5 games in 5 days, that's never been done before. Nobody's ever done that. So to be a part of the history like that, it just makes you it gives you a different type of belief, honestly. So I believe anything's possible, honestly.
Jayden Taylor is joining us from the NC State Wolfpack here on the David Glenn Show. We get to call him, of course, an ACC champion, a Final Four participant. He is now a senior guard with the Wolfpack, averaged about 11 points per game last year. On March 9 of this past season, you guys had 17 wins and 14 losses. How do you describe going from what was at that point a mediocre resume to one of the greatest runs in NC State history, including that ACC title and that Final Four trip?
I say adversity. Every team is going to go through adversity. It can make or break you. And one thing about us, we wanted to be consistent on just, we're not going to let this season just go to waste. Just because we lose a few games or things aren't going our way right now doesn't mean in this tournament we can't win it. Who said we can't win it just because our record 17-14? And I think that was just our mindset, and we showed why you should believe.
I think you're going to be a symbol forever of the unselfishness of that team, because you did start a whole bunch of games, but then you became this super sensation sixth man guy. How did you not get down on yourself or turn it into a negative? Because clearly, you had that stretch in March, man, where your numbers were off the charts, so you turned a negative into a positive. How'd you do it?
Yes, sir. I mean, putting the team first. Anything the team needs is what I'll be happy to provide. Because, you know, at the end of the day, the biggest thing is winning. That's what matters the most. And for me, it's like I know that the team is going to need me to show up big. And whether that's 6th man, 7th man, 8th man, or starting, I'm going to be able to provide that because I want to win.
When you get a platform the size of March Madness, whether it was the ACC tournament or obviously that Final Four run, the 9 straight wins under crazy circumstances, it's truly, lots of people watch it all year, but it becomes like tens of millions of people are watching. And as it turns out, like your 3rd grade teacher, Miss Janet Wolf, tweeted at you. Like, what were your memories of Miss Wolf? And then how did that go? Because that tweet got like literally millions of views.
It's honestly crazy because I literally, in Miss Wolf's class, I can show you guys. I have a picture. She has a picture she sent me. I wrote, I want to be in the NBA when I was a kid. Like, she sent me the picture. She used to tell me like all the time how I would only talk about basketball. And like, she was my favorite teacher. And just to watch, like, to grow up. And I went home after the Final Four and met up with her. We talked.
Did you really?
Yeah, we talked.
Man.
She came to my school to see me and talk to my family. And she was just like astonished. Like, I love her so much. Shout out to her, man.
That's an incredible story. I did not know that you guys ended up.
She didn't even know that it was gonna blow up like that. She didn't know. She was just, oh, I see Jayden, I'm gonna tweet. She had no idea, but she's the best person I know. She's a really good person.
I'm trying to remember how old a guy is when they're in 3rd grade, but that means that you were drawing pictures about basketball in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And she said that you had to do some writing assignments, and even the writing assignments were often about basketball. What else do you remember about just what part of you basketball had, even at a very young age, whatever that age is, 9 years old maybe?
9, 8. I
Okay.
mean, like, it was always about basketball, man. Like, that's just what, as growing up, you see like the older players that's at this level, like this is people you look up to in college or in the pros, and that's just what I always wanted to do. So I would just always just be dedicated. And whenever I had time, I'm gonna go play basketball. I'm gonna talk about basketball. I'm gonna play the video game basketball. It was just always basketball, and like it got me to this point today. So I'm just happy I bought into it.
I've known your coach, Coach Keatts, for 20 years, and he just seems to me like the same guy, whether the last thing that happened was bad or the last thing that happened was insanely good. How do you describe his role in making sure you guys stayed together through that adversity you described earlier?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Keatts is literally the memo of our team, man. Like, he's the same guy whether it's going really good or really bad, and that's who you got to kind of be in this profession, honestly, because you're going to face adversity. Like I said, like, it's going to happen. It's going to be a time things aren't going to go your way, but who are you when they don't? Like, can you get through it and see that it's going to be better? And I feel like that's the thing that Coach Keatts kept over our program. Like, guys, like, it's not going all good right now, but who's to say it's going to last, because it can't storm forever. So I feel like he gave us that memo, and we just ran with it. We got a whole bunch of confidence and swag right now.
Jayden Taylor of NC State is joining us on the David Glenn Show. When I used the phrase OC earlier, all the Wolfpack Nation knows I'm talking about Michael O'Connell. But he's also here today, and we're going to get a chance to talk to him. When you guys were playing the 2K video game, who won?
I beat him, but we only got to play a quarter. But I was in the lead when it. I only was up by 2 though. Mike's pretty good. I don't think he gave me a run for my money. He doesn't play games like that, but he was all right.
Do you have to be extra nice to the point guard the way a wide receiver is extra nice to like the quarterback, or a quarterback is extra nice to the offensive line because he's got to get you the ball?
Yeah. Now you got to take care of your guys, man. I love Mike. I can't let nothing happen to Mike because he's going to give me the ball in the right spot.
The last thing for you. You were a 36% or so three-point shooter last year. At your first year at Butler, you were like 29%. Away from the cameras and away from the spotlight, that means you've been busting your tail. How do you describe to folks the effort that goes into turning yourself from a 29% shooter in a league like the ACC, a 36% or even better shooter?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's just putting the work in day in and day out, but mostly it's really believing in yourself, confidence, honestly. I feel like most shots go in because you're confident. You got to believe it's going to go in, and I believe in the work I put in. So I say it's the work and just the trust and confidence in myself.
Last thing for you, you got a bunch of transfers that did really well at their previous school. So it's like Mike James from Louisville, Brandon Huntley Hatfield from Louisville, Marcus Hill from Bowling Green, Dontrez Styles from Georgetown. Who has jumped out to you the most out of those guys?
Yeah, all of them have been really well, but I say Dontre Styles has really showed that he's going to be a really good player for us, and he can impact winning in a lot of different ways.
Do you harass him for beginning his college career at the University of North Carolina?
I did it a little bit when he first got here. Not no more because he finally got it right, but just a little bit. I heard he had like 3 Apparently he was supposed to come to NC State out of high school too, but I don't know. He finally got it right though, so we're good now.
Good stuff. His name is Jayden Taylor. He's an ACC champion. Thank you for your time on the David Glenn Show.
Thank you.
You got it. Yep. From Indianapolis, Indiana to Raleigh, North Carolina, this man has been in both of the greatest basketball states in America. Thanks for joining us as we interviewed him on the North Carolina Sports Network.